1995, we had our first workshop. I interviewed everybody ahead of time in order to try and find out what they wanted to know about men. Then I went to the men I'd been studying and asked them the questions that they gave me in the interviews. And then as I was preparing for the workshop, I thought, what if they have new questions and I don't know the answer? What'll I do? And then it popped into my head, I'll just bring them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had the man panel 1995. And
1995, January of 1995 was the first man panel. It was just this complete sort of emergency measure. I had no idea it ended up being the best part. I had no idea it'd be the way that I ended up listening to thousands of men, right? And they came to me and I have to go to them. And what we saw over time was this question, right, that I started with in 1991, what if men are responding to women, right? And we know sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. But when we had this panel of men before us, right, anywhere we started with a limit of 16 women at a time. So it could be 16 or it could be a couple hundred, right? But we found how much they were responding to us. And I had to start coaching women to watch your response because we wanted them to be the most themselves. We wanted them to be the most truthful, right? We wanted them to give us the real goods. And we found that if a man said something sentimental, the women would go, oh, game on. Game on. It was just like women and pleasure and the sounds we make. Game on. Chase those sounds. And the whole panel would start competing for what would make the women make those sounds, right? Yes, the same thing happened if anybody, like we could laugh, laughter was fine, but if there was this huge laughter, someone was like, oh, like that, game on. Now it's who can make them laugh the loudest. They are so organized around our reactions, and which is, why in our sex and intimacy course, we teach women you can lead a man all over your body just by the sounds you make.
Right.
Truth is my second highest value. So I've spent a lot of time, drilling down into this, reverse engineering it. And, the course, Why Men Lie, Why Women Lie, right? And why you can't trust men to tell the truth. And like how many different pieces of this to find out what do I have to do? What can I do to get as much honesty as possible? And it's all about that it's safe to be honest, that no matter how awful that truth is, you'll never cut off their head. And that you'll appreciate the truth more than you'll be upset about what it was. Like really sincerely, thank you so much for telling me. It's always got to be a better deal because they're human, right? And if you look at women, we can get very righteous about don't keep secrets from me and be honest with me. But women really tend to put forward only what we think will be attractive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our instincts tell us to do, only what's going to be attractive. And we'll even reveal a weakness when we think someone feels intimidated by us. We'll reveal a fault or a weakness in order to be more attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, so powerful. Well, like within the context of what you've already said so far, there's some nuances to this that kind of can feel like secrets. And one of them is the piece that you said, they only will do things if there's an upside, right?
Yeah, instinctually, it has to be that way or you'll die, right? If you keep sacrificing yourself and what you spend your time and energy on, you're going to die. It's all instinctual. What's going to make it worth the risk, like the risk of life and limb? If you think of hunters, right? So please go ahead. You're framing me a question.
Well, no, I'm just kind of pointing out some of the nuances that you brought up in the conversation that can also feel like big ahas, like things I just want to put the explanation point on. One of them being that they're only doing things if there's an upside, and I call it energy efficient. You know, sometimes it's like I've shared this with you before. My husband doesn't shut the doors of the cabinets in the kitchen because he thinks I'm just going to have to get back in there in a little while. Like, I think that's what he thinks. So I'm going behind him going, because it's just driving me nuts. But like to him, that's not energy efficient. I think that's like literally what it feels like to him. Or he'll carry in mountains of grocery bags like a pack animal so he doesn't have to do it in two goes, as he calls it. I don't want to do it in two goes.
Yeah, and it could be that it's, definitely leaving the toilet seat out. Right? Leaving the toilet seat out, that's efficient. I'm going to be back to pee. Not making the bed, that's efficient. I'm just going to crawl in again tonight, right? Not closing the cupboards, it could be what you said. It'd be interesting for you to ask, or it could be that because when they're focused, which is most of the time, their brain screens out what's irrelevant. And if he's in the cupboard, it probably has something to do with eating. And they eat at the breaking point when their hunger has broken through another focus. And so now the eating is the new focus, and the brain is screening out everything irrelevant to eating. And cupboard doors are irrelevant to eating. Right. Opening them is relevant, get the dish. Closing them has nothing to do with eating. That's just a delay in eating.
Right.
Right. So it could get screened out for that reason, and not even that he's thinking I'm going to be back. He's probably not. Right. He's probably just trying to get the food in his face so he can go back and do the thing that got interrupted by hunger in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why they can go past something that seems really obvious, like a garbage can that stinks or whatever, if their mind is on something else or they're on another mission, so to speak. They're not even going to notice that. It's irrelevant, right?
Yeah, and it helps to think they're always on another mission. Always. There's no time that they're just like wandering around. Is there anything I can do around here? And that's the mission. Find out what I can do around here. How about that? How about that? How about that? They live in a committed state of mind. It's such a beautiful part of who they are, and as you know, when they get older, they live in more of an open state of mind. But still, when they're focused. My boyfriend, who's 63, I have to watch. Who is he now? Just before we started, I'm at his house right now. I walked up the stairs and turned and looked, and he was in front of his computer in his office, and he looked up at me and smiled. Oh, okay. So he's in an open state of mind, right? Sometimes I walk up the stairs and he he doesn't look at all, right? And then I just go get what I need in the kitchen and leave him be, and all these things we do just to be on the same team, because that focused state of mind, which you can see on the panel, they'll focus on this question, right? They're gonna give you the best answer to that question. Focus is a kind of peace. They're at peace when they're focused. And yes, there's the upside part, but just because you said that, there's an exception to it. And that is, there could be a cost in them doing something, but it's a lesser cost than betraying their own values. It's a lesser cost than betraying themselves. Their values is themselves. So they'll do something out of duty that is a total pain in the butt, takes too much time and energy, and they know won't make that big of a difference because it's just going to fall apart again. But I'm a good son. So I'm going to show up and do this for my mom, my dad. I'm a good brother, right? it's my duty as a citizen, as an employee. They'll do things that just because not fulfilling their own sense of honor is a greater cost.